Hello, world. This is just going to be a little chat on, especially if you're a younger guy. It's about the lie of independence and the push for individuality. It all comes down to money, economics, and capitalism at the end of the day. You can call me a conspiracy nut. So, if you notice in a lot of Eastern cultures, people stay in their household sometimes even until they get married or until they move away. And why would they move away? If they were studying abroad, if they got a job abroad or in a different city. But at least in a lot of Egyptian homes, for example, you're always welcome at home until you pretty much get married. It's very similar for a lot of Asian households. In Canada, I can tell you that when my mom turned 18, her gift for her graduation and everything was a suitcase to move out. So my mom is from New Brunswick. She's a white Canadian, and that's the stereotype that a lot of Easterners have about Westerners, that their parents are just like goodbye at a certain age. And I can understand people will be like, well, your parents aren't there to support you all their life. They're not. But the purpose of community and the sort of collective society prevents a lot of issues. Now, in my mom's day, that wasn't the end of the world. In modern day Canada, the issue is that housing is so bloody expensive. So where are you going to go? You're going to go live in some room that's an absolute butthole and pay out of pocket for that. So you're getting your job just to fund some more rental space. And a lot of people are commuting there to get to their job. So maybe they got a car. Oh, a car costs, so I got to pay my payments. Oh, insurance? Yeah. So now you got rent, car insurance, car payments, you got to eat. And I'm not saying that a lot of these things didn't factor in if you live at home, but maybe you share a car if you live at home. Or maybe you're paying your car payments, but you're not paying rent, but you're still contributing to the house. And then people are like, well, why aren't you paying your parents' rent? Well, if your parents owned the house, they don't theoretically need rent, but you can still contribute to the household. And I know everyone's going to have a different way of doing it. But I am starting to believe that there is a little bit of a sinister message in the Western way of living, as radical as that might sound. I believe that you are seen, as a little incompetent or, oh, he's a loser. He lives with his parents. Ironically, by the way, I left home at like 19. So it's not like I stayed with my parents until late age. But this is something I realized. Move out, get a job, be a contributing member to society. I actually think that this is a little bit of a conspiracy to get more people in the workforce. And I'm not saying people shouldn't work, but just hear me out. Get more people in the workforce and break people apart. It's the whole divide and conquer strategy. So let's say we have a household A, and now there's going to be a household B, even if it's a rented property, and a household C, D. Where does that come from? We have household A, parents are there. Then let's say we have two children. One moves out here, one moves out here. They're all now paying different rents or property for different properties. So maybe the original house is owned by your parents, but this one you're definitely paying rent. Your other siblings definitely paying rent, and everyone else's family who's doing that is paying excessive rent. Now there are times this makes sense where you move to a new city to procure a certain type of job, but in the vast majority of cases, I believe this is meant to degrade the family structure and extract as much wealth from people as possible. I noticed that upper class families, even in the West, often have a lot of collectivist values. And we have this myth in the West where they'll be like, oh, Asians or Middle Easterners, their parents coddle them. They're not ready for society. It's like, some of that might be true, but at the same time, I think a huge issue is that your parents just don't create that stability for you. It's not about coddling you. If I lived with my mom and my mom owned this property, or my mom had to pay her mortgage, and I went and got a job, I could continue contributing to that household. I could help my mom pay that mortgage. Or if she already paid the house off and owned the house, I could handle house chores as being a man in the house, a younger man in the house. Or I could also, what's the word I'm looking for? I could also contribute directly to give my mom either some rent in that sense, which she could take and use for the family unit. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. The units created is the idea behind this. We have more households as different units. Pardon the scatteredness of my thoughts. It's kind of just coming to me. So the more households we have paying landlords, the landlord class is now making more money. And now everyone's trying to jump on the landlord class. Oh, I got to get myself some real estate. But that's more money going out of the pocket of households. And even if you are someone who's just like, well, I'm getting myself some real estate, you're going to spend money to get that. Follow the money. Whenever you have a question about why society is structured the way it is, follow the money. Learn economics. I'm not an economics major by any means, but I take a great interest in economics ever since I realized that I don't want to say everything can be explained by economics, but a lot of these suspicious vacancies or holes in the societal system, follow the money, learn economics, see how the gears turn, and you'll get an idea. So, what I'm getting at with the schizo rant, is there is a conspiracy that the family unit is breaking down. And it's been broken down in the West in particular, and I see it's becoming more insidious across the globe. Do not rely on your parents. And no, I'm not saying your parents need to float the bill, but what is the point of your family if you can't rely on them? And as a son, I want my parents to be able to rely on me. So, this whole individualism culture is not doing you any favors. It's not doing my father any favors. It's not doing my brother or sister any favors. One of the best and most lucrative times in my life was when me and my brother moved in together and we paid all our bills off, and I was able to save and get rid of my debt. Why? Because my rent was half of what it would be on your own. Now, did I have to make some sacrifices for that? Well, I mean, it was me and my brother, and we didn't mind what each one did. But if you're living with your parents, maybe they have strict rules. Maybe they're not drinkers. Oh, you can't drink in my house. It's like, so what do you want to? I don't know. Would that come? Is that going to sound too aggressive if I say, are you going to choose paying so much extra rent just because your parents might be a little bit traditional? This is me talking. My dad's very traditional. If I wanted to, live in his house from when I was 18 to 25, which never happened, but if I wanted to do that, he'd expect me to follow his rules to some degree. And, that's part of being a community. If your only goal is to move out to be a degenerate, I suggest you reevaluate your priorities. Because I've been a degenerate, and it's hard to tell you it's not worth it because if you haven't been there, but there are things that matter in life. So family values, if you actually get some love in life and some care, and you and you nurture bonds with your family, you're going to realize that I didn't need the degeneracy which I engaged in. And not to be cliche, but you're really going to miss what's in front of you. If you're that 18-year-old who's, for lack of a better word, just aching in the groin to get out of your house, you're not really looking at what you leave behind. But at the same time, I know not everyone can stay in such family households. Some families are just toxic. Meaning that it's not a luxury that everyone has. But if you have a good family structure, or if you somehow cooperate with your family, because every family can get a little toxic, you have a chance at building a stronger family unit and a stronger societal standing. Meaning if you worked together with your family or your brother or your sister, you're going to all level up together. Where if you go off on your own, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. I'm not saying you can't succeed on your own, but the story of a successful man or the self-made man is a myth. Maybe he didn't do it with his family, but no one's quite self-made. We're we're social creatures, and anyone who denies that, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You didn't self-make anything. I'm sorry. So, the tax on the individual is higher than on the collective because you're going to hold it together as a family. If you can form a community, let's say your family are dirtbags. Let's say your family didn't do anything. They lent you no support. Maybe they were abusive. That doesn't mean what I'm saying is useless. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just cooked. So what I'd recommend to do is essentially build your own family. That's what getting married or your friendships is for. You build community. Or, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, close friends, you could always find people you trust. Maybe move in together with them. If not just move in, create a community. And you guys will both add to each other's lives, your skills, your incomes. If you pool things together, you will have a much better chance. Because what I noticed about Western capitalism, before you guys think I'm on a whole rant and think that everything's bad, is that the systems, in my experience there, is designed to extract as much as possible from the individual. And it's harder to extract from a strong knit community because, I don't know, maybe you extract plenty from the community, but you still have more. So pretty much I'm giving you a cheesy rant to work together. And yeah, I'm out.